Morrowind is often hailed as one of the greatest RPGs ever made, a true role-playing experience where the player shapes the story. No quest markers, no hand-holding, just freedom, choice, and consequence. After Morrowind's success, Bethesda shifted towards mainstream appeal with games like Skyrim and Fallout 4, trading depth for accessibility. Other AAA studios followed, prioritizing profit and mass appeal over complexity. As a result, the deep, choice-driven role-playing experience that once defined the genre began to fade. Experimentation was replaced with icons, exploration with quest markers, strategic combat with hack and slash. It seemed that the true RPG was a thing of the past, but now that old school magic is making a comeback. Games like Baldurs Gate 3, Kingdom Come Deliverance, and Disco Elysium, made by indie studios, have revived the depth and freedom that fans have been craving. They showed that there is still demand for complex RPGs, and they took them to new heights. One of the next big names aiming to fill that gap is Of Ash and Steel, a third-person open-world RPG from indie studio Fire and Frost and published by Tiny Build. Set on the island of Greyshaft, you play as Tristan, a cartographer stranded after a mysterious attack. The game removes modern hand-holding, offering deliberate combat, meaningful choices, and real consequences, the hallmarks of a true RPG. Inspired by great role-playing games like Morrowind, Gothic, and Witcher 3, this game seems to have all the ingredients to fill the gap that studios like Bethesda left empty a long time ago. I sat down with the studio head, Jake, to talk about the game, the team's vision, and why indie studios like his are the ones keeping role-playing alive. So, without further ado, let's jump into the interview. First of all, thank you for doing this interview with me. For anyone who hasn't heard of the game, can you give a brief summary of what Of Ash and Steel is about?
Of Ash and Steel is an open world RPG, obviously, in an unforgiving, low fantasy world inspired by the golden age of role-playing games of 2000s. Of course, with some convenience of modern games. As a result, there are no quest markers. The game doesn't lead you by the hand from task to task. Instead, you will have to carefully listen what the character is telling to you to find some places and stuff like that. So basically, overall, Of Ash and Steel is open world, low fantasy, medieval RPG.
Now, you've referenced Gothic and Witcher as inspirations. Can you sort of explain what aspects you took from those games?
Well, basically, it's all about approaching game design. It was important for us to convey the atmosphere of discovery when you explore the world, that any curiosity would be satisfied. At the same time, the game itself did not push you forward, like with markers or dozens of small rewards, but rather gently immersed you in the atmosphere of the world, allowing you to act in this world at your own pace. That's what I loved about the golden age of RPG of the 2000s, especially in the Gothic series. So that's basically it. The simple question is, it's all about the game design of the old RPGs. Well, of course, with convenience of modern games.
I've noticed that you do have multiple difficulty options in the game. Why have this option instead of just one uniform difficulty?
So basically, we have only two difficulty settings. Third one is just an addition for basic one. So we have the story mode. It's it's for those who doesn't like challenges, and the classic one, the one that we designed from the start. So there's only two options. First one, if you're a casual player, you just want some stories, some exploration. And the classic one, if you love RPGs and you love the challenge that it gives you. So the third one, called Greyshaft, it's more like an addition to the classic one. It's like when you need some extra nerves and you want some extra XP about that. But basically, you just picking one of two: easy mode and classic mode. I do like when game doesn't give you any settings at all. Like, here it is, and go with it. Like a Soul series, for example, where you don't have any challenge. Like you don't have to pick some difficulty levels. At some point, some games even have this list of settings that you have, like how much enemy damages you, how you damage the enemy. Well, for me, it's because it's much more simple. Because that rules are fair for you. Like developers designed this way, so it should be this way. When you start to move, I'm always trying to beat the games on the highest challenge available. So I can say that I'm a hardcore player. But for example, one friend of mine, he's a big fan of RPGs. He played, I guess, all of the major ones that came for about last 10 years, like Witcher, all parts, Baldur's Gate, some more classic like Pillars of Eternity. He really loves RPGs. But he said something that impacted me at some way. He said that, well, he is a hard worker, and when he came back from the work, in most cases, he doesn't want any challenges. He just just to progress through the story, find some loot. He doesn't need those extra challenges. And I can say that he is a hardcore RPG fan. But even so, some of us probably need this more like relaxing adventure. So at this point, we decided, okay, we can make story mode for those who just need an adventure, and the classic one who does like some challenges, feeling some progression of the character. Basically, that's it. That's why we added a few options.
Can you tell me a little bit about the skill trees in the game?
When you level up, you get 3 stat points. And you can use it immediately to level up your strength, dexterity, perception, and stuff like that. And you get 1 skill point. For a skill point, you need to find a teacher. And there's 3 directions, 3 branches of skills that we have. The first one is survival, creation, and war. For example, if you want to learn something about how to survive in this world, you need to find a teacher that can teach you survival skills. Each branch give you really different skills and different advantages that you can get from them. For example, survival branch helps you to hunt monsters, take some trophies from them, increase your rapier and bow skills, give you some extra combat skills. It helps you with stealing something, lockpicking, chest, stuff like that. So basically anything about survival. Of course, there is some extra skills like survival itself. Each branch have its like a core skill. Same goes for other branches. Like creation. It's all about crafting stuff. Not just crafting stuff and power up your stuff. So, for example, with sharpening skill, you can permanently increase stats of your weapon, like give it +1, +2, +3 bonus, depending on how you handle the minigame and how high is your level of sharpening weapons. Same goes for power up armor. You can permanently increase stats of your armor. And of course, when it comes to the smithy, you can craft some swords for yourself or craft some swords for the sale. Both branches, survival and creation, not just helps you to become stronger, it also much helps you to get some gold, because gold is sort of a cornerstone of, basically on most of the actions. The last one is the war branch. Basically war is all about killing the enemy. There are a lot of different branches, of course. There is like one-handed weapon mastery, two-handed weapon mastery, crossbow mastery, and yada. Well, basically it's the simplest one, because war is all about the war. We also have perks. Perks, it's something that hidden from the beginning, and it unlocks only when you meet some conditions. For example, if you walk in the world like 1,000 steps, you can get some extra perk that gives you ability to consume less stamina when you sprint. If you fall on the branches on in the Battle of the Mood a few times, it will give you ability to avoid it, and that's useful in combat because enemies can also fall on those puddles on those branches, so you can easily navigate through the area and loot the enemies on those places and then attack them. Well, there's a lot of hidden perks. Like some give you like small advantages, like +1 strength if you hit mannequin, training mannequin like at 20 times and stuff like that. But it's always fun to discover a new one because you don't know what's behind this question mark, and it's like, what's in there? And of course, after a month, probably after release, there would be a lot of guides on the Steam pages that shows how to unlock all of those perks. But for the first impression, for the first experience, I think that will be really interesting to find how to unlock those perks.
Now, I've seen some mini games through the trailers, like we've seen fishing, house decoration. Can you elaborate on what other mini games are in the game?
There's a lot of different ones. So some of them working as a mini game, some of them just works just as a separate activities. Well, of course, there is fishing, there is hunting, there is ore mining, there is ranta, there is treasure hunting when you go with a shovel and just trying to find some fresh places on the ground and see, maybe something in here. Sometimes you can find, of course, the maps that shows you that's probably here, something is hidden, or with one of the ancient knowledge that you can unlock, you can hear, like have a sense of those treasures nearby.
Obviously, role-playing is a huge reason for playing these type of games. Will each playthrough be different?
Yeah, of course. For example, your way is the way of the hunter. You like the forests. You don't like the city. While you progression through the survival branch, you also unlock ability to set up a camp. And you can set up a tent on special places. They all around the world. So basically, in each location, there is at least two free places where you can set up a camp. And you don't have to pay for in. And you can rest there, depending on your level of survival. Conditions will be better and better, your camp become better, and there will be much more options to do there. What you can do there. Of course, if path of survival is not yours, you like cities, you like to be in the crowds, you can find the tavern and sleep there. Sleeping in the tower is not just about like speed up time, because characters have some basic needs like hunger, thirst, and the third one is fatigue. So basically, if you're on your feet long enough, it will goes down, and it can give you some negative debuffs if character needs to sleep, for example. And of course, you can sleep on some places, like find some old bed in the places where NPCs allow you to do so. But it doesn't give you any buffs, doesn't give you any bonuses, and it's basically just skips the time and restore your sleep level. But if you want to get something from this, you either set up a camp with a half of survival skills, or you can go to the inn, and in the inn you can select like some simple room, just with simple breakfast. You sleep there, get some breakfast. It will give you some small bonuses, or you can take some sort of a luxury room, and it will give you much more bonuses. And of course, it will restore your health.
So how is the story structured, and side quests as well? Is decision making a major aspect of it?
At some point of the story, hero have to choose one of two factions. It's Order of the Seven, and that's three hunters. You have to join one of them. And depending of who you picked, some quests can go differently. So for example, one of the quests in the mines have two different tasks for each faction. Same goes for some exploration quests. So, for example, when one of the factions sends you to the frozen lands, you can't even visit some of the locations because of that. Because three hunters tell you to find some, for example, some old documents that they need, and this place on different location of this frozen valley. So you can only get there if you join this faction. Same goes for side quests. Each faction have their own set of side quests, not just in terms of like leaders of the factions, but also of the people that live there. So, for example, there is a big storyline, big interesting side quests about the course of the local tower. And it's not just like one quest, it's like a series of quests that goes from Act 1 to Act 3. and it helps you to know more about the lore of the island, about the lore of the world itself, about how curses work and stuff like that. And you never knew that if you go for different faction. We use a system that called world state, and it allows us to create different states of the world. So, for example, you probably seen on one of the trailers, we showed a small camp of the woodcutters, and in state 1, it's perfectly normal. Like there's people up there, everything's working, everything's fine. And then the state 2, it's completely destroyed. It's burned to the ground, and people there are all dead. And the most interesting part, it's not the part of the main storyline. It's just the part of the side quest of those woodcutters. Depending on the actions player did while progressing through the story, it will give you different outcomes. And it's not just one place. There are several places that can be completely destroyed because of the actions of the player. Of course, something like that happens in the main storyline. So, for example, there's a conflict in the mines, and depending on the actions of the player made, everyone can be dead there, or everyone can be happy if you did the right thing. And sometimes it's not really obvious. At some points, game will ask you what you want to do, and you might not be really sure about the consequences. And that's the fun about the role-playing games, because you can give some options to the player and trying to make him decide, not because of some benefits he'll get, but because of his internal moral compass that will guide him through decisions. And sometimes we even using this trick like delayed consequences. Like when you do something in the beginning of the game, for example, which doesn't sound really important in terms of story, but can hit you back after 20 hours of gameplay. And you're like, oh, what was it about? Okay, now I see. And there are several things like that. Because it was important to us to show that the world is changing. Like, for example, this is a small example. There is one, like a small tower in the middle of the island. And some dude can give you a quest like on the Act 3, for example, he tells you that it's getting too dangerous around here. And you go there, you help him with building defenses, finding some extra guards to guarding this place. And when you came back after a while, you'll see, oh, there is a new defensive walls up here. Oh, there are some people that's guarding this place. And you feel that this world isn't just something like that. It doesn't give you experience that's happening somewhere there. It's here. You help people with building defenses. You see those defenses. You see new people up there. And you feel that when you... Like, for example, when you're finishing the game, you feel that this is the end, and you go to the whole island, and the island is kind of big. You'll see, oh, this is consequences of my actions. This is consequences of my actions. And this is, what if I did everything differently? What outcome does it give to me? How do I achieve the battle results? Or maybe I want to put the whole island into the chaos.
How long would you say the game is overall?
Some basic playthrough when you go through the story, take some side quests, not really not going too deep into it, not going into deep world exploration. It should took about 35 to 40 hours, I guess. For the deep exploration, if you want to find we're talking about a 70% of the content of the game, it can took about 80 hours, maybe 100 hours. There's a lot of quests, story-wise, and the side quests, because it's a lot, and it depending on your play style. Because, for example, we have this kind of approach when you almost never meet a character that you will interrupt once and then forget about him for the rest of the game. So, for example, there is some sub-orb area, and there are some farmers. When you meet them, they give you some basic quests, help you with this, with that, and basically in most of the games you just forget about them completely. In our designs, when something big happened on the island, we call it acts. You most likely want to visit them because they probably have something new. Maybe they will tell you something new. Maybe they will have some new, more rewarding quest, or even give you some reward because you helped them like 10 hours ago. And some quest lines goes not just once. So you can't, for example, if you join one of the sub factions like Grave Diggers, their quest line goes through the whole game. So you start at Act 1, you can continue on Act 2, and then finish it, for example, on Act 3. The quantity of the quest that player can complete really varies of his playstyle. If he wants to find everything, he'll find a lot of interesting quests. If it's more like story-oriented playthrough, well, it's still a lot, but much less than if you want to explore everything.
If you play Kingdom Come Deliverance or Gothic, at the very start of the game, your character's so weak, like they can't even swing a sword correctly. Is it going to be like that in this game? Will they get stronger over time, or do they start pretty strong?
Basic concept about it is the feeling that you become stronger and stronger. So not just the Tristan itself, when you level up his stats and stuff, but as a player as well. So we wanted to give a feeling of, this is basically about the whole game, and especially in the chapter progression, give you the feeling of power. So, for example, if every enemy is scaled up to your level, for example, you at some point you might feel that you became better, but overall you basically in the same position that you was 10 hours ago of the gameplay. So the idea was you meet some bandit that's I don't know, defending some entrance to the cave that you want to visit, you want to check it, and he completely obliterates you. You have no chances to win in those conditions. So you go back, you do some quests, you find some better gear, and when you get back to the same bandit, you're like, okay, now I'm ready. And when you kill him, when you achieve this victory, you feel that it's not just because it's a game and I should win. It's because of my actions that I did before. So because I completed some quests, found some gear, made some build of my character, like one-handed warrior, for example, with some skills, or maybe you used some rings to power up your stats. So at the end of this small journey, when you first time tried to fight with the bandit, and when you came back, like for example 5 hours later, and now you can now defeat him, it gives you this feeling of joy. Like, yeah, not the game allowed me to kill him, I did it. All my actions lead to this exact situation where I can finally beat this bandit, and this gives you the feeling of success. That I'm stronger now. And at this point, you're now looking for a new challenge for you, like kill some big monster or some big skeleton that was too scary for you or too powerful for you. And you go from this point to the next point, to the next point, to the next point. And each time you feel like it's not because the game allows you, but because you're strong enough at this point. And you became strong enough because of your actions, because how you leveled up character and how you built your build, basically. So basically, to understand combat of Ashen Steel, you have to put, well, I guess, some time to understand it, because it can look junky at some points or some slow at some points, but when you progress through the development of your character, attack speed gets bigger, you'll get more evasive maneuvers, you get more attack abilities, and this make you from like this, when you started you like a bag with potatoes that can do much, and at some point you'll just become deadly, more faster and stuff like that. So that's something that I'm pretty sure I'm pretty happy about the combat system. Of course, it's not like modern fast-paced action games or even RPGs that give you this sense of the sense of power, like I can beat everybody. We have a kind of different approach. We want to show that Tristan, he's a simple man. Moreover, he's not just a simple man, he from wealthy capital where nothing really bad happened to him. and when he have to take to make some moves, when he have to fight with someone, he as well as the player should have a little bit problems with some struggle with the combat. But when player and Crystal itself level up, becomes more experienced with combat, with different enemies, with different weapons, they should feel like, this is how I get stronger.
So obviously you're a small indie studio. Why take on this project at all? Like, what made you want to make a game? Like, what's been the story of your studio?
I don't know, like 4 years ago, and I was playing Gothic. I always had a feeling when I must say I generally love both RPGs, old school and new school. So I'm not like a snob that says that oh no, all modern RPG are bad. No, I love both of them. I love The Witcher 3. It's amazing. But there is you ever had the feeling that there is something is itching inside you, but you can't scratch it? This is something that old school RPG have. They satisfied me because of that. They scratch you somewhere there, and it feels pleasant. Like, oh yeah, that's the spot. And you can't really tell. I couldn't tell because why this happened. Why this satisfies me a lot. I started to think about it, and I realized that it's mostly about feeling of accomplishments, about feeling excited when you get something new, and this is something that old RPGs have. Like, it doesn't guide you by the hand. They doesn't tell you like this is 5 steps that you should do to achieve some success. No, they mostly tell you, okay, so here's the world. You have some main task that you should do, but basically it's up to you. And the most importantly, because they don't have those like quest markers or some like pointers or timers that will rush you somewhere, they allows you to play with your own pace. It's not like a universal formula. If you like something in RPG, someone else can hate it. But I started from the simple parts, so I made some document that I tried to understand why some of the things in the old RPGs really appealing to me, and that was the first design document that we ever had. Then I started to learning the game engines, like what's up there. Is it hard? Maybe that's something like for people with programming experience, or maybe it's just for for experienced teams, or maybe it's for big companies at all, because I had no idea how games are made. I tried like they call it game builders or something like that. It's like a games where you can make games basically. One was on PlayStation 4. It called Dreams. It was fun. I did some basic prototype of the game, but with a gamepad, it was really hard. I gathered up all my courage and I downloaded Unreal Engine. I tried to do like some simple stuff. There's a template of the character that can just jumps around, and it's like, oh, that's my first game. I can jump around. Okay. So I started learning about the game development, about developing in Unreal Engine, about layout, so all those basic disciplines about the game development. And at some point, there is a point where most of the indie developers burned out. It's when you did something, and at this point I had like a 7 minutes trailer about the game. It was simple, like some areas, some characters walking around, some combat basics and stuff like that, because at this point I wasn't really experienced in game development, but it was something. And there was Unreal Engine Dev contest that helped young indie developers with, well, some help with the money and some help with just the exposure. And for indie developer, it's a lot. I was lucky enough when I just posted my project on Unreal Engine Dev contest. I was like, hey, I can go to the social media. It was freaking scary, man, because internet, you have no chill. And I was like, they're probably gonna tell that I'm not a good person, that the game sucks, that everything looks terrible. But since my core community was like a Gothic fans, I was openly positioned myself as a big fan of the Gothic and the person that want to make some game that heavily inspired by Gothic and basically inspired by golden era of RPG of 2000s. And people was nice. They basically they give me this fuel that helped me move a little bit longer before I would get exhausted. And luckily, I found first my team members that still with the team. And after we get some really good rewards on Unreal Engine Dev contest, we started to develop our first demo. Because at some points we understand that the project is massive. If you want to release it, if you want to do it good, we have to find a publisher, someone who can give us the money to make our dreams come true. So first try after Unreal Engine Dev contest was a complete disaster. There was all characters have these big proportions, like they have long hands, small heads, and stuff like that. Something that I didn't notice myself because I was alone and nobody couldn't point me out about that. Well, then basically it was really bad. It was like a simple, like someone from some basic game design knowledge trying to make the game. That was something like that. It was a little bit unpleasant, but after all, we gathered all our courage, all our strengths, and I was like, okay, guys, let's take a full year and make really, really cool demo of our project, like a pitch demo. Something that we'll share with some companies that helps indie developers, for some publishers, for some funds, for some big studios, and try to pitch ourselves. And luckily this worked. Build noticed us and they said, sounds promising, sounds good, let's do it. And at this point, we officially became a studio. Like there was only 3 of us, or maybe 4 of us on the basic team. It was more like some fun job at this point. When we get to agreement with Tiny Build, we was like, oh, now it's something real. We need to gather a team. So from this point, our team size increased from 4 people to 15 people. And here we are, 2 years later, after Runician announced the game, we get into the release at this point. That's our story.
So let me ask you, why do you think there are less RPGs that are as in-depth anymore? Why do you think everything's become more simplistic and simplified?
You probably know that game development budgets goes higher. And I think that RPGs, they're really, really expensive in terms of budgets of those games. So if you're a big studio like EA, for example, or Ubisoft, when you make a AAA RPG, it's going to cost a lot. And if you make the game that costs a lot, you'll have to make it safe. Yeah, safe. You have to make it safe. So it shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't be too harsh about the player. It should be safe, like game for everyone. And Gothic, as we imagine, is not a game for everyone. Literally, first thing that happens is that the old camp guard is just hit you in the face, tells you like, welcome to the colony, and you're like, okay, now I probably see how it works. And if you go from the path that game gave you, you'll probably gonna be eaten by some animals, and that's not safe, because some player get there and like, oh, I was killed, I'm not a hero, freak it, I don't want to play it, I want to be a hero. And that's probably not safe, and that's probably why the big studios not making those kind of games.
So you managed to get funding from a publisher, which is amazing. Did that change anything? Like, did it change the way you approach things at all? Were they involved?
I think that's not a problem when it comes to the indie studios, because most of the publishers, they not really interested in making some changes in indie development. Because, well, when you make, for example, I know, like new FIFA games, you have metrics, you have like a marketing, you have everything counted even before you started the development. It's more like a calculated risk. When it comes to the indie developers, and almost every funding. It's more about I see something in those guys that can make the game. They have their vision, they have their feeling of how game should work. In most cases, publisher will probably not even try to interfere with your internal workflow, because it can break the exact reason why they funded you. Because if they starting to do something there, they probably will break this process, and the game that they invested on the early stages in the end will be a completely different game. So at least this is how it worked with our publisher. They never ever try to do something about the game from the inside. So basically we did everything that we wanted to do. I can't remember even like a small thing that they asked us to do because like a big audience needs something like this. Maybe it happens somewhere, in some other studios, I don't know, because basically I knew like a small percent of indie developers, maybe that happened, but basically it doesn't really make sense. Because of course, if you're giving someone like millions and millions of dollars, of course, and I'm talking about like millions, like $200 million. Of course, at this point, you're really interested in returns of your money, because it's a lot of cash. When it comes to indie developers, it's much smaller numbers, and I think the idea behind funding those small indie studios is like they have their vision, they're making something cool that I like at this point. Let them cook. Well, at least me, I can't tell about the whole team, but I still have a feeling that we as a studio, we are not actually like a game developers. We are still like RPG fans that for some unknown reason start to develop a video game. And basically we're finishing it and the release is on the way, and it's still something that I didn't quite understand. I need to probably I need a year after release to just to feel like, right, I'm a game developer. I'm no longer an imposter. I'm still not thinking, in this big in those big categories. It's still like something personal, something small that me and the team shown to the world, because the guys that and the girls in the team, they all really passionate about what they're doing, and it's not like this typical marketing shit like we are passionate team of game developers, we are small, we know each other. It's not like we have some management and some people that give some directions. It's always like you and me. Like, for example, if we have level artists, we just make a call, we see something, we check in some ideas, we're trying to implement something. And for example, if there's like a 3D modelist that's 3D artist that should make some like house model, for example, he'll probably call a level artist and they're like, hey, what house do you need? This and this. Okay, I need a sketch. So he called like a 2D artist. He made some art about how something should look, and because of that, it still feels like we're like a small dust in the air. Of course, I want that Operation Seal would be succeed. Like, well, who doesn't, right? I think nobody makes a game and think, I hope it dies in the early stage of development, because it's not how it works. We are not big enough to tell about like these big matters, like how our game impact the RPG world and the stand it's a scene itself. We just want to make a good game. That's basically it. Something that will warm you at rainy evening when you come home. And it's like, I just want to relax somewhere, forget about the problems that I have. So you just jump on your couch or somewhere and start the game. And it's like, oof. Yeah, I feel relieved. That's basically it. No big ambitions about it, at this point at least.
So, what does success look like for you?
Well, we basically need like some ordinary sales for the game. Like, we don't need like those big millions of copies sold, because basically we are an indie studio and we doesn't have a big budget. Like, so it's really easy to us to be successful. So basically, to be successful, we just need not to be failure. That's it. So like cover up expenses, and then everything that's will be a plus. Expenses. That's our goal. Nothing more. Like that would be more than enough for us to succeed.
I know it's very early to be asking this question, but what are your plans for the future? Like, are you thinking about a sequel or upcoming games?
Yeah, of course we have plans. Sometimes it was like, okay, and then we make a movie about the game and a TV show. Well, it's more like a fun, of course. We doesn't really actually plan to do it, but of course we're thinking about Operation Steel as a prequel, and I really like concept of Gothic 2 expansion, The Night of the Raven. It give you not just a portion of a new content that you can find, like this islands with a new sword, the sword, something Beliar, Claw of the Beliar, if I remember correctly, some new quests. It also expands the main world. So basically, we really wanted at least give one big expansion to the Operation Steel itself. Well, and of course later on to finish the trilogy. Like it's our first game. Of course, the curve learning was extreme. Like it's always like this, because each day you knew something new. At some point at the end of development, we finally reached the plateau where it's like, okay, now I understand at least something. And it's much more easier to make more at this point with this experience. It's much easier to make more complex, more visually appealing game, like using more technologies and stuff like that to make game looks better, play better, and feel better. And that's why I think that trilogy is something that is a good plan to do. Like first game is like it has the soul. It might be rough on some edges, but basically that's good. So I do like how you, as a studio, for example, making games. So I give you my credit of belief that your next game will be much better than the previous one, and the next game will be even more better. If you remember what was the difference between Witcher 1 and Witcher 2, it's insane. Witcher 1 was like the game that dudes in the garage did, like from Eastern Europe, but it had this like it had a soul. Like it felt like it's something new, something fresh. But The Witcher 2 looked like a Hollywood movie. It had really cool graphics, like really cool cutscenes. Well, game felt like there wasn't like. This game was made like by a small studio and this by some big studio, and the same big difference was between Witcher 2 and Witcher 3. I guess this is the same path that we want to follow, like start from here and eventually finish with something like Witcher 3. Well, in terms of overall quality, of course.
And after people finish playing the game, what is it that you want them to leave with?
I really like to think that Operation Steel is something that gives you the right feels. We live in a really stressful world, really fast-paced world, and sometimes it can be really hard just to relax, to hear yourself. And I really want when people playing Operation Steel, they feel like they are back in time on some rainy evening when you come home, start the game, and you so much immersed in a world that we created with a great love that it feels like a warm bath. You're forgetting about all your worries and anxieties, at least for a while. And with that feel, when you completely relaxed, some bandits came and kills you, and you're like, what? Why? And then all over again. So I guess that's the feels.
I say thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with me. Last question: is there anything we can do to help? Is there any way we can support you guys?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Just get into your wishlist of Operation Steel on the Steam. That's basically the best support you can make. Even if you don't plan to buy game on the release, it helps with promoting the game itself. Like Steam sees, oh, this game is lots of wish lists, I need to put it a little bit upper in the algorithm and stuff like that. And if for some holy reason Steam can put you in the main page, like recommended, that would be a huge boost for us. Like from some, well, I can't say we're underground dogs, like, but we are some indie junk. Yeah, right. I remember. Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. We understand that. But just adding to the wish list, it gives us a lot, really a lot. Of course, since we are still a human, we're yesterday players. Some warm words is really important for us too. So if you have something good to say, just do it. Probably somewhere from our team will be like, oh.
And that brings our interview to an end. I want to thank Jake for taking the time to speak with me and wish the whole team at Fire and Frost good luck on the release with Of Ash and Steel. The game has been announced to release on November 6th, so I recommend you check it out on Steam. If you enjoyed this interview, please give the video a like, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Finally, if you want to see more interviews like this, please check out the interview playlist linked in the description. Thank you for watching. Avowed.